And we are live. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today's Coffee with the Jedi. I have Alexandre Orion from Temple of the Jedi Order. I'm not putting, I imagine, Alex, that there's kind of like a French way to say that. I feel like I'm butchering that in American for you.
No, it's all right.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna take your word for it. So let's start off. So I have a very famous Jedi celebrity here with me in Alex. He was just yesterday in France Info Radio's report on Jedi and Jedi religion.
So were you.
Don't. This is not. Nope. This is not about me, man. You're the guest. This is all you. And I just saw a very, very great newspaper article with you in it. So, I mean, I don't have a newspaper article. That's all you, Alex. That's all you, buddy. So you're in the spotlight now.
The journalist who asked me for the interview. As I was trying to explain to you, I thought that was just going to be, some small filler thing at the bottom of page 13, and no, it was a full page on the very first page of the Dijon edition, and okay, and yes, everyone saw that, and so.
That's awesome. See, and it's well earned, and it's well placed. So good job, sir. So Temple of the Jedi Order, do you identify yourself as a Jediist?
I identify myself as a Jedi.
Do you feel like there's any actual like that those like Jediist, Jedi, or however people like to fancy it up, that there's really differences there, or is it just kind of how people come into the community and what they're introduced to first?
I think that goes beyond the community, really, because it's these suffixes like ism and ist, and use those in other areas to talk about other things, and they are useful when we're trying to establish what things belong to, what categories, what domains of meaning. But the separation or the distinction should not be more important than the foundation. And that's why we've had this conversation before. Whereas the Jedi way is all about being in the universe one's a part of, and being able to see how things go together, not how to take things apart. And so I try to not use those distinctions whenever it's possible. So I've been saying that I'm a Jedi for 20 years, but Jediist, or Jediism, or even Jedi realism, or as opposed to what? As opposed to what? Jedi fictionalism? I don't see how these things really help us. Right.
Right.
Did that answer your question?
Sure. I just yeah, I think it's important for people. I know that I have like a couple people who watch these videos that don't really interact with the community, so they don't have that full view. So I like I don't know, I like exploring those kind of questions that are kind of new. As you said, we've talked about it, but are kind of new for people who are on the outside, kind of looking in, who are interested, but want to give it more time and things like that. So I think that was perfect. So
it's a wise thing to do, because if one isn't really sure, well then, because to be a Jedi is mostly about individuation, not individualism. So, as it were, when one integrates the community, one is integrated in the community. The responsibility is not for what one does in the community, is with and for the community.
That's a great point. It's actually something that I've seen other offline groups really taking a focus on. Recently, there's been this group that's doing like knighting ceremonies at the offline gatherings, you know, just because it's much more fun. But their big focus is kind of the participation, you know, what you're doing for the group, for the community, rather than what your personal accomplishments are.
I feel that both are important,
Indeed, indeed.
but they're not mutually exclusive. One's personal accomplishments are as much the accomplishments of the community as the accomplishments are of the Jedi. And this is why there is that the act of the individual knight, but then that is part of what the community does as well. This is why, you know, the responsibility is not only for one's personal responsibility, but also the extended responsibility, which I don't think that is. We don't emphasize that quite enough, because a lot of our training is focused on not only self-knowledge but then self-betterment, which I've always had a problem. Ethan could tell you, all this, how livid I get whenever people go on about self-help rubbish. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Well, basically, the thing is that the Jedi community is not self-help central. We're not a clinic. We're not a hospital. We're not, we're about the exploration of existence, really, and morals and ethics, and the equilibrium of virtue. I think that people could probably, if they were just to come back to some very simple principles, they would be able to not have to depend on self-help.
But we must explore the principles of the path do kind of lead a person, as you say, as we explore, there is an exploration of the self in that, right?
Yes. Oh, yes, a very important exploration of the self. But this is why I was making the distinction between individuation and individualism. Individuation is just basically the simplest way to say that's coming to know who you are.
And in that, sorry, go ahead.
No, please pose your question, because that could actually clear up what I'm.
Oh, I was just gonna say in that exploration of self, there's almost inherently you grow from that, you learn from that. You like in that exploration, you kind of you I don't want to say evolve, but you or better, but you grow, you learn.
Any of us really evolve. I mean, of course we grow, and we grow as much, in a positive sense as in a negative one. We're all Jedi or not. We're all creatures, that are destined toward death. The evolution is more generation by generation, not an individual over the course of a lifetime. We may grow, we may adapt, we definitely learn things, and we have to unlearn things to learn the best things. It's a complex thing, because part of the distinction I'm making between individuation and individualism And part of the reason why I really do not like the self-help things is because often with our individualism, the pursuits that we undertake are oriented toward growing an image that we have of something that we admire that we don't feel we are, rather than coming to know what gifts we really do have and what we can put forth, growing the gifts that we actually have, rather than trying to grow ones that we don't think we have. Does that make sense?
I believe that does make sense. It makes sense to me. I can't speak for everybody, but I think it makes perfect sense. So with the community and the idea that we should be seeing more people at least poking around the edges of the community with Star Wars and things like that coming out and kind of re-gauging that interest, depending on where the movie goes with Jedi and stuff like that as well. But you know, we should see an interest and a growth in the community in general. For new people that are coming, what would you offer to someone who's kind of new to the community or curious about the community? That what kind of advice do you feel you could give someone who's looking to join the Jedi community?
I've never pondered the question. Advice, I probably wouldn't. I would probably just talk to them. And we don't have anything to say. If they want what we have, well then we share it with them. If someone wants to learn how to use Force lightning or choke people just by looking at them, or how to master 7 different lightsaber techniques, well then I can't help them. So probably the first thing that I would do is I would say that it's really not that much different than the way other people live their lives. It's just that we try to have a vision which is a little bit more close to real than just going along, coasting along day to day in the hyperreal. Does that make sense?
I believe it would make sense. It makes sense. Well, yeah, it makes sense. I think some people will probably have to go search up hyperreal, probably have to Wikipedia that, but that's okay. They get to learn something new. So.
Well, if I could make that easy for them, it's in a reference to Baudrillard and his social theory. The simulacra, not that which hides the truth, but that which points that there is none.
I love philosophy teachers, man.
I haven't been one of those for years.
But you were. It's on your resume.
No, I think that I've whited that out so I could just put Jedi Knight.
Oh, well, that's fair. That's fair.
Although the funny thing is, I talked to some of my students, my former students from years ago, when they had seen that article, and they said, somehow that just didn't surprise us.
See? It bleeds through. Jedi is what you do. Comes out.
Oh, yes. I'm sure that's even seen. As I said, the Jedi way isn't too very much different than ordinary life. So it's probably in some ways detectable or visible just whenever I'm doing my shopping. Perhaps, I don't know. I don't watch me.
Yeah, that's true. I was actually asked that question in an interview a couple years back. If I was like at walking the street or at a grocery store, if I could detect another Jedi. My answer at the time was no, because similar to yourself saying, well, it's just how we live. We're just a Jedi's not walking around like with a shiny, halo or anything. It's we're everyday people. We're just living our lives, and yeah, it's just a lifestyle like any. I don't think people who practice yoga would be able to recognize another yoga practitioner at the grocery store. It's just, yeah, we're just. But obviously, Alex, your students saw a little something of the Force in you.
There was some. I think it was for my 40th birthday. We went with some of my students. We went to Lyon, and we were down there. The girlfriend of one of the boys, she was there for her studies, and so we spent the weekend there. And for my birthday, we had this nice dinner, and they gave me a really nice card that they'd all written, and that was one of them was you've taught us the ways of the Force. You are our master. And I thought, this is really ironic.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
They were really good boys.
Excellent, excellent.
Even the girls.
Don't get yourself in trouble now. Remember, this is live. All right, there's no editing here, Alexander.
It was only because there were a couple of girls in the class, and they were, but then I just called the whole group of them my boys, and, it just sort of, so even the girls identified themselves as one of my boys,
Well, that's fair. That works then. That works. As long as they have an understanding.
It could be in trouble with the feminists, though.
It could. I don't think. Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna assume what my audience is. So that'll just get me in trouble, and we'll just leave the trouble on your side for now.
I'm in France. I'm in. So.
Oh, Alex, man, Alex. So, do you have any projects or anything you're working on? Are you working anything at Temple of the Jedi Order, or you got anything? Are you guys unveiling anything new? Or?
Not really for right now. In the synod, in the clergy, we're doing a bit of work, coming up with some modifications to the doctrine. But it's not. It's not a project with. It's not a huge project. It's just, general. This is what we do. Looking at, the doctrine and saying, okay, is this coherent? And, of course, there are some parts of it. It's imperfect, like everything. Everything is. So, we're, trying to, iron out the parts of it where we can make it just a little bit better or a little bit. More coherent, more pertinent. But big projects, no.
Well,
It's just business as usual.
Business as usual.
Well, I don't know how to say that otherwise. Things are calm now. Things are nice. It's just.
That's excellent. That is definitely a good thing.
Everyone is doing what they are engaged to be doing. The apprentices are doing their lessons. The teaching masters are teaching. The clergy are clergying. The council is counseling. Things are running nicely.
Excellent. Excellent.
No major scandals for at least the past season, which has been nice. Or I just missed them because I didn't.
Well, for those that are watching, two things. One, if you're watching, you can use the Q&A app. Feel free to ask a question. For those that are are with us, you can use the chat and ask a question of Alexander if you like. Also, there will be a link to Temple of the Jedi Order, so you can check it out in the section below. It usually takes a while for me to work out, but it will be there on the YouTube. So check it out. So questions. Do we have any questions? Questions? Looks like people like you, Alex. They don't want to ask you anything.
Well, you see then. So, are we on something besides Google Hangouts?
Yeah, because it also broadcasts live on YouTube, and then also if people are watching, like they can watch without actually being in the chat, and in that case they can use a Q&A app and like ask questions.
All right.
I learned. It took me a couple of things to learn about that one.
Yeah, I've never learned anything about this, so I don't know how it works.
You know how I've been learning about it by doing it, and yeah, that's I learned by doing. So I've been messing this up pretty bad, and each mistake you learn something new, and you kind of working out. And the Jedi certainly.
I've got a piece of advice for you. Take on as an apprentice a crackerjack computer wizard like Ethan here, and you don't have to worry about learning anything ever again. You just say this, and he will, just set it up, and he's, got it all going in, like 30 seconds. Where I couldn't do it in 30 days. So,
so all I have to do now is find myself a smart, technologically wise computer Jedi apprentice. That's not a tall order or anything.
Ethan is a Jedi Knight, but he's still my apprentice, and
of course.
Still has to care of, everything that is more technical than a fountain pen for me.
Don't sell yourself short. I mean, fountain pens could get messy if you don't know what you're doing. So, credit to you for using.
Messy even when you do know what you're doing. So.
See, that's a whole new skill set that if it's not a big pen for me, I probably would mess it up as well. So.
Big pen. I never mastered it. A big would die within about 30 seconds between my fingers. I don't know. The way I write, it just doesn't go with the. Oh, the big pen. Big is a French pen, but.
I didn't even know that. See, I learned something today.
Big.
And again, butchering it with my American, so it's all right. No questions for you, man. Everybody's just loving you. They are sitting in here, they're listening, they're engaged, they're happy. Drop some wisdom, Alex. Drop some wisdom on.
I don't have any.
That's the wisest. See, that's why we know you're a Jedi Master, right? The wise always know when they're not wise.
I think that wisdom is something that is ever acquired. I think that maybe we can be prone to moments of it, but it's not something we possess. I mean, it's not, we never get to the point of, everything is going to be wise. It's just being open enough to realize how much one doesn't know and doesn't understand and has to find out and has recognizing errors and trying to correct errors that will probably bring about more moments of momentary wisdom, but wisdom is not an acquisition.
There you go. Jedi wisdom dropped on you. You're welcome, viewers. You're welcome. See, Alex? I knew you had it in you, buddy. Oh, I'm out of coffee. This is getting dangerously close to closing time. Dangerously close to closing time. All right. Actually, it's funny. I'm just telling you. Last night was not. I failed my Jedi duties. I did not plan out a proper sleep schedule, and it's killing me today.
I
But
know
you know, we
that because sleep schedules. I mean, I've talked about that with Ethan. He can, we've sleeping schedules. Is sleep something we really need to schedule? That's, we schedule other things. We
hmm,
schedule this, for example. We schedule this to we could come together at the same time across this medium. But sleeping is natural. We just maybe didn't go to bed on time, but if something was actually a time you had written down, or okay, be in bed at 9 o'clock, or whatever time you go to bed. I don't know.
yeah, nine probably wouldn't work for me.
I'm old. 9 o'clock is already past my bedtime. But
Uh, so actually, I was asked a question of you, Alex. Your article, the French written article, was
yes,
is there like an actual was that ever put online? Is there like a link for people to go read that article?
can they be in French?
I assume so since they're asking me if they could go read it.
Sure, I'm going to find that right away here.
All right, you can put it in the chat box, and then I'll put it in the sections below. In the whatever the YouTube, you guys know what I'm talking about. The YouTube section below will have all the links, and you guys can go check it out. So, thank you for asking the question, and we will get you that link.
Here it is.
Oh, right, and well, you could always wait until after, Alex. You don't have to get it right now.
Oh, I got it.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Huh? We'll just let people stare at our faces then. Here, they can stare at your face. I know it's on the computer. I just wanted to give you, the chance to work out the technology and make sure,
Well, that was only pressing a couple of buttons. I can usually get that far. Of course, sometimes they're not the right buttons. I mean, Ethan can testify to that. He's like, what did you do now? I'm like, I don't know. I just pressed that. Oh, you idiot! That's and so then we reformat the hard drive.
That's stories, man. Sounds fun.
I'm exaggerating a bit there.
Oh, that's usually the best stories. All right, awesome. So we'll get that link to everybody. That'll be in the YouTube section below. If you're not watching on YouTube, you're gonna have to go to our YouTube thing and watch it. So, or I mean, at least check out the links and stuff. So, boom, done deal. All right. So we are there. Woohoo! We are at 30 minutes. Technically, that's my cutoff point, or at least where I try to get it. However, oh, we got a question. Oh, that's 2 hours. Question. What are you reading currently? Go ahead, Alex.
By Martin Buber.
I'm gonna leave that up for a second, so people can write that down or go check it out themselves.
Alan Watts cited him in the book. So.
And what is it teaching you? That's not my question. That's.
Let's see. I'm sorry. He's talking about seeing himself in all the environment, the distinction between what's out there and who the I is who's perceiving it. I don't know what it's teaching me. I just think that it's saying something that we've already been talking about for years and years and years in just a different way. as I said, he's Alan Watts cites him, so we've already sort of had the hand-me-down edition of that. I'm just going back to the originals. So.
Excellent, excellent, good stuff. So if you check out the book if you guys want, add to your library, add to your library. All right, is there anything that you would like to add, Alex? Anything like last thoughts, ending thoughts, anything you want to throw out there to anybody watching right now?
Last thoughts? I hope
Last
not. I'm not done thinking that.
How about closing?
Last wishes? I don't know. Am I before a firing squad? Am I? Maybe I deserve it, but I would like to deserve it. Usually the people that get firing squads are, actual progressive, activists in life. I'm not doing much of that these days. But no, I think that if anyone has any questions, well then they can come and pose their questions to me, in the Temple of the Jedi Order. I mean, they don't have to be a regular there to, come in and say, oh, could I ask this question? I'd say, sure. Or just send me some email at Alexandre Orion at Temple of the Jedi Order. I can give you that. There we go.
Excellent. All right.
I'll talk to anyone who wants to talk to me. So I may not know the answers, and I may not know what you're on about. I certainly don't know what I'm talking about.
But it's good to talk. So explore. You get to explore through conversation, right?
Yes, and it's generally brilliant. I learned so much that way.
I cannot argue that. I'm right in that boat with you. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. I want to thank everybody for joining us for this episode, because we don't really do weekly stuff. But for this episode, thank you for joining us. For all the links, and to go bug Alex some more and pin him down with some questions and discussions and all sorts of fun stuff. We'll have the links for you. Head over to Temple of the Jedi Order if you want to get down on some of that. If you're curious about the Jedi, you can go check out their site for free and check out what they offer and if it vibes with you. So we will check you guys on the next episode, which is tomorrow. And yeah, surprise guest. So stay tuned.